What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about who will replace Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Canadian Liberal Party and therefore the leader of Canada, the Prime Minister. I mean, this is something that I've really been meaning to get around to because here in America, I have to be honest, it's like this has literally been forgotten about or something. I think for a day there, people here in America were like, oh yeah, Trudeau resigned. How about that? And then, I don't know, I'm sitting here like, who's gonna be the next Prime Minister of Canada? That's kind of important. So today, I really want to learn about who the Liberal Party candidates are that might become the leader and how this whole prime minister selection process is gonna work. This honestly reminds me a little bit. I have to make the comparison to the United States, our election that just happened when Joe Biden kind of resigned or at least stepped out of the race to become the next president. He stepped aside, and then there really was no great democratic process for selecting Kamala Harris as the liberal candidate, which I think ended up actually backfiring a lot for her. That there wasn't more of a voting democratic kind of process. She was just kind of picked. Yes, she was the vice president, so that is a logical decision to make, maybe based on those grounds alone. But in hindsight, especially after losing, a lot of people are really critical of that decision and how that decision was made, I guess. So let's take a look here. I have a nice article saying all 5 liberal leadership candidates clear the final financial hurdle to turn to policies ahead of the debate. So there is a debate coming up. There's 5 choices for the liberal leadership. And there's a French debate on the 24th. Oh, that's coming up tomorrow? Wow. French? It's all in French? Like, that makes sense. it's not like I'm shocked that there's French in Canada. French! French? What? What is that? No, it's like, do they all speak French? Like, all these, how are they going to do it in French? Are there translators, or does everyone have to know French? Because I know not all Canadians know French. Huh, that's interesting. And an English debate on the 25th. Wow, there's a French and English debate. That's actually really cool and very practical since it's Canada. Let's take a look here. So this is the first time I'm seeing these 5 candidates. These are the 5 choices who might be the leader of Canada for some amount of time. When you're kind of making decisions about politicians, it's funny how much their appearance plays into what you think of them. I think Trudeau was very, very popular in America for a long time, not solely because of his policies, but just because, like, a lot of people thought he was a conventionally attractive man. And they're just like, Canada has a young, cool guy as their leader. Like, why can't America have that? So, yeah, that's what a lot of Americans thought about Trudeau, really. So, I don't know, maybe it'd be kind of fun for me anyway, since I've never seen these candidates before, real quick, before I learn about who they are and maybe what they stand for and their chances of winning, I just want to look at them for a second and give my opinion based on their appearance, basically. Maybe that's a bit superficial, but maybe I'm superficial. I think in politics, that's a real thing, judging based on appearance. So this first guy in the upper left just looks like he would do well in American politics. He is just the whitest guy with gray hair, friendly, might come to a cookout with you or something. I bet his name is like Mark or George or something. Something, he just looks like a politician and a friendly one at that. So he's probably going to do okay. The woman in the middle on top. I bet her name is like Catherine or something, because she seems like she could be friendly, but when it comes down to it, stern. And yeah, she looks like a well put together woman who would be in politics, frankly. Then on the upper right, yeah, here we go. This is Mary Beth, and I think she helped me find a book at the library once. Now she's running for prime minister. That's great. But she just looks incredibly friendly. Maybe it's her big smile. Maybe it's her glasses. But I like her. Just looking at her, she seems friendly. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Just looking at a person. In the bottom left, we have... He looks like a CEO of like a tech company. His name is probably Chet or something. He looks friendly, but he just looks like, I don't know, he just looks like he'd be the leader of a big business. There's something about, it's so weird how we judge based on appearances. I don't know, stereotype, I don't know what it is. But he looks like an authority figure, which is good. That's what you want. And in the bottom right, we have what seems like a young woman. I have to say, she clearly has put some effort into her appearance, and she looks very nice. Although, I will say, unfortunately, I think in politics, if you're almost too well put together, like she's put almost a little too much effort into her appearance. Nothing against that. Like, good for her. That's great. But I think you run the risk of people not taking you so serious if you're like too good looking or too it's weird. Isn't that weird how that, I don't know. That's why I run zero risk of anyone taking me not serious, because no one's gonna accuse me of that. Okay, so it says here, this is the Liberal Party leadership candidates. We got Mark Carney. His name is Mark. Yes, his name is actually Mark. That is hilarious. Chrystia Freeland, Karina Gould, and then Frank Baylis and Ruby Dalla. These are the 5 candidates that have been approved for the contest. Very good. All right. They paid the $125,000. Jeez, what's up with that? I read that in a video I did earlier. Like, all these candidates had to fork over hundreds of thousands of dollars. What's up with that? Who does that go to? Why is there a financial barrier to being the leader of Canada? I'm not sure I understand that, but I'm sure there's some kind of reason. Ahead of 2 debates coming up, candidates have been trotting out policies on a host of issues: federal government spending, housing, energy, food, security, and employment insurance. So these are the policies that are important in Canada, because what decided the last election in the United States was just a number of different, very specific policies, really, that American people were mostly fighting over. And that's usually how politics works, isn't it? So first we have Mark Carney, who's the former governor of the Bank of Canada and considered the front runner in the contest. This is the front runner, Mark Carney. This is the first guy who seemed like the most politician-looking guy ever. Friendly. Here he's in a hockey jersey, drinking beer. You can't make this stuff up. I don't know if this is some kind of marketing tactic, like when Trump worked at McDonald's for an hour, or if he's genuinely a nice guy. He looks nice. He has 80 endorsements from MPs. There's a little video. I'd like to take a look at it, honestly, just to get a sense of maybe what he sounds like and his demeanor.
Who is ready?
Liberal leadership contender Mark Carney bringing in big crowds and big money.
We are going to build our future.
His campaign says he's raised nearly $2 million.
I find it very energizing and empowering. I mean, it's a privilege to go across the country and talk with Canadians.
Carney's one of 5
Okay. That's like 5 seconds of him talking. And unfortunately, a lot of this video is probably just me making really surface level judgments. But I have a limited time to do this in this video. But he comes across as a nice guy. I can't speak to his policies and what his political choices are going to be. But just as a human being, seems like a nice guy. And I can see why people like him. He's got his hockey outfit on. That doesn't hurt your chances in Canada, does it? Anything else? Let's keep going here. Carney supports the concept of a West-East oil pipeline. Anything else? He's invoked Trump's threat of sweeping tariffs on Canadian goods to justify a deficit proposal. I'm not sure what that means. He wants to balance operational spending. Okay. We're getting into the weeds a little bit here. Let's keep going. So he is the front runner. Mark Carney, was it? Yes. Okay. That's probably a name I need to remember because he might be the winner if he's already winning at this point. Chrystia Freeland is the former finance minister and deputy prime minister. Oh, wow. Chrystia Freeland trails Carney with 26 endorsements. She previously said her campaign is focused on the grassroots. Freeland, who led Canada's response to Trump during his first term, angled herself as a tested negotiator to take on the U.S. That's actually a thing now in Canada, isn't it? Like, probably something you guys are seriously looking at. Like, unfortunately, people who can handle the U.S. That's so weird as an American for me to, like, say, but I totally understand why it's true. It's like needing someone who can handle Trump, you know? I get it. In an interview, she said Trump's tariffs will most likely trigger a trade war between Canada and the U.S. are an act of huge self-mutilation. Yeah, that's eloquently said. Let's see what she has to say in a little video.
Liberal leadership candidates have just put out a joint statement just moments ago on Trump's tariffs, saying no matter who is elected the next party of the leader, they vow to stand up against these, quote, unjust tariffs. Well, former Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland was at the table the last time Trump tariffed Canada, and she also, of course, helped to renegotiate the new NAFTA.
Okay, so she has some real experience. Okay, here she is. I want to hear her talk.
Chrystia Freeland, nice to see you again.
Good to be with you, Rosemary.
I want to start, obviously, with the tariffs that are going to come into effect on Tuesday. The federal government has responded, saying there'll be a total of $155 billion worth of counter tariffs. Do you think that this is the right response for this moment?
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely. I think we as Canadians need to really recognize the gravity of what has just happened. This is an illegal and unjustified action.
She seems really nice. That's, it's so weird. I think it's literally because I'm American and I've gotten so used to our candidates. Like, seeing politicians that are just normal, talking kind of normally, like reasonable, polite, it's weird for me to say. Like, I don't think she would do great in American politics because it's mostly like who can yell the loudest or have like the biggest presence, or it doesn't even matter what your policies are sometimes. She's kind of soft-spoken in a way, which it kind of took me off guard. But she also seems really nice and really, what the heck? Why are all these Canadian politicians seem so nice? What's going on here? Let's keep going. Next, we have Karina Gould, former government House leader, picked up some endorsements from MPs, like 2 of them. So I don't know how realistic a chance she has. The $125,000 was a high fee. Yeah, seriously, like, sounds like Karina had trouble raising the money, which I totally understand. This is the woman in the glasses. Okay. Let's see. what she's like.
Liberal leadership candidate Karina Gould stopped in Fredericton during her campaign and promised to transform Canada's social safety net within 1 year if she's elected Prime Minister.
So today I'm here to announce that within 1 year of becoming Prime Minister, I would bring forward a plan to update our social safety net to really help Canadians and not just catch them when they fall, but also to enable them to bounce back even stronger than before. And so
Okay. She seems really nice, well-spoken, has some nice public, public causes she's talking about. I'm not going to dive too deeply into like their policies in this video. I'm going to be honest. I'm just trying to learn. I'm trying to get a quick idea of who could be the next Canadian Prime Minister. Again, because I know there's probably a lot of Canadians out there who are like, keep watching the video, like learn more deeply about what these people stand for. And that is important. But for the sake of time and information, I'm just taking it in quickly. Frank Baylis, Montreal business leader Frank Baylis. Oh, he is literally I knew it. That's this guy, right? This guy on the bottom. He is a business leader. I knew it. I don't I don't know what kind of message I'm spreading right now, like judge people by their appearances cuz you'll be right. No, that is a bad message. The first person to declare his intent to replace the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, of course. So he's like kind of a go-getter business guy. First person to jump up and be like, I'll be Prime Minister. If Trudeau is stepping down, I can do that. So he didn't have any issues raising money for the leadership fee because he's a big businessman. Most of his supporters are from cultural communities. Not sure what that means. Maybe like, are we talking about diverse communities, minorities, and people in the business world? You want to elect a businessman? Maybe. I don't know why I am having a little bit of an attitude towards this guy. Maybe it's just a inherent lack of trust in businessmen. He's a former Liberal MP, wants to approve 2 pipeline corridors and the natural gas market, work on the country's electrical power grid, fund research for energy. Is there anything of him speaking? Here we go. Let's take a look.
Mr. Baylis, welcome back to Ottawa.
Thank you.
Just on your term limits, if you were to be elected as leader and come back to Parliament, presumably, would you have 6 years left to your term limit? Like, how would that work?
What would work is once you've hit the 10-year mark, because we can have minority governments and majority governments, after you've hit the 10-year mark, you might still be a member of Parliament, so you're not going to lose.
Okay, so you can immediately tell he has a different style of speaking, much more like a politician or someone who speaks at in the business world. Very put together, very eloquent, well-spoken, and he comes across that way. And I don't know, he's not going for the Mark Carney guy who can get a beer with you. This is the guy who's going to own the company that's selling the beer to you. Or something like that. Anything else here about him? Nah. Yeah. So it seems like Canada has a couple of different options here with who can be the Liberal Party leader and the Prime Minister. And finally, we have Ruby Dalla, former MP. So both of these people are formally in the government world and then left politics, which also... that's a pro for me. As much as I'm kind of smack-talking Frank here, I do think there is some serious merit to having success outside of politics. In the old days, at least in the United States, politicians, there was no such thing as a career politician. You didn't go to college or university for political science, and you never had a real job in your life, and then you just become a politician. That's not how it was meant to be, some people argue. Politicians in America way back were very intelligent business leaders, doctors, lawyers, who would leave their jobs, their real jobs, and go serve the country in politics, then they would quit politics when they're done and return to their doctor's office and resume their actual career. And there's something really attractive about that. It was normal people who worked real jobs who were representing the people. Now it's all just career politicians who have never had a real life experience, if you know what I mean. So I like that he's at least existed in the business world, it sounds like. That's a pro. And Ruby Dalla, it sounds like. She's billing herself as a true outsider. Her campaign paid the fee. Thousands of liberals are supporting her with donations, promises to deport illegal immigrants and impose life sentences on hard drugs. She has called for an economic czar, a health czar. Wow. Let's hear her speak a little bit.
Ruby Dalla, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
You've been away from politics for more than a decade. Why return now and think the right way to return is to become Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think I share the anger and the frustration of thousands of liberals across the country because the Liberal Party of today is no longer the Liberal Party as we knew it.
Yeah, I like her too. She's really well spoken. No, she's confident in what she's saying. I don't know if what she's saying is good or intelligent, but it sounds that way. So, okay. And she's actually she's the underdog right now, it sounds like. Okay, is that it? That's the end of this article. Those are the 5 possibilities for Canada's next Prime Minister right here. Unless I'm missing somebody, I think this is it. They're going to have a debate tomorrow? Wow, in French. So, and then in English the next day. That's probably going to determine a lot. But is this race really between Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland? Is that what it, it's cool that you at least have 5 options, but maybe only 2 or 3 are realistic. I don't know. That's just from what I'm kind of reading here. And then finally, I just want to look at this Wikipedia, which is I want to see, how is this going to be decided? That's something that's really been on my mind. How are you guys, is it that, because, let me say it this way, there was a big issue for the Democratic Party in America where they just chose Kamala Harris. They just chose her. Biden's out, we pick you. The politicians picked her. Not to say she couldn't have won, but there was no election, or the will of the people was not expressed as well as it could have been, it seems like. So how is Canada going to handle this situation? It says, under the procedure outlined by the party's constitution, all registered liberals will be eligible to vote directly for the Wow, excellent. Wonderful. That's awesome. That's how we should have done it in America. That's exactly what I was. So all liberals get to vote on who the Liberal Party leader is going to be. That's excellent. Wow. It's going to be by preferential ballot. Preferential ballot. You vote candidates based on rankings. Oh, so you get to choose your number 1 choice, then your number 2 choice, and your number 3 choice. You get to rank the candidates in order of how much you want them. Interesting. As long as you've been registered 41 days as a liberal, there's approximately 400,000 registered voters eligible. 400,000? What? There's aren't there almost 40 million Canadians? What do you mean there's only 400,000 registered voters? Is that an error? What? That's 1% of Canada. Am I misunderstanding this? The amount of registered voters eligible to cast ballots here? What? I'm confused about that. the candidates have to pay an ungodly amount of money, and votes will be weighted with each electoral district allocated 100 points, and with points in a district allocated in proportion to each candidate by the number of first preference votes received. So you're doing this by district. That's different sections of Canada. Each has 100 points, and based on how people vote within that district, those points will be divided up among the candidates. To win, 17,151 points are needed. If no candidates receive a majority of the points, so you need a majority of the points. Does that mean 51% of the points, or just more points than any other candidate? A majority of the points. If they don't receive a majority of the points, the candidate with the fewest points will be eliminated, and those votes will be distributed among the remaining leadership according to the next preference. Oh wow! So it really matters how you rank the candidates. Your first choice, this person is your second choice, because if your candidate is in last place and there's a tiebreaker needed, your second choice is going to matter a lot. That's really interesting. Well, I like how Canada is doing this. And now I feel like I have a much better understanding of who might win this thing. And therefore a lot better understanding of maybe the future of where Canada is headed. Although, isn't there going to be there's going to be an election for the Prime Minister coming up as well in the future. So this Liberal Party leader who's going to be immediately the Prime Minister, I'm not sure how long that's going to last or what that's going to look like, but interesting to say the least. So anyway, I think I get it. If you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. If you're Canadian, feel free to give any kind of opinion on the candidates or any clarification on some of the things I might have not understood correctly. That's totally fine. Very possible I didn't get something straight, but that'd be cool to hear from Canadians out there. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and learning about Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.